I'm back here on this 84 Vet. I put the pump together and I just set it down in a hole. Wasn't sure which way the sock went, but I got it going forward and back, and I was making sure the pump and everything worked in there. That's what all these wires and stuff are. And the pump's working good. The harness is working fine, but it's not turning the fuel pump on. So there's some kind of key decoder stuff in here. It locks the starter out and doesn't turn the pump on, so you can't steal it. To take it out, you got to pull this dash panel out, this piece out over here, and then there's just a couple of wires there on a relay you need to jump. But I got to get it out, and there's a way to get this headlight switch out of here. I don't remember offhand. I'll just start pulling the screws out, and we'll see what happens. Well, I got this apart pretty easy. I didn't have to take that left one out, but it's not looking the way I expected. It's supposed to be a big relay here with two yellow wires. I don't see nothing like that. But I did find what's this over here? Green and purple. I'm not sure what this thing is. No good to start pulling stuff apart. But I'm going to check that fuse there and see if the guys that had this before didn't bypass something. I'm going to see if that fuse is blown and see if anything happened. Well, I did some more fooling around with this. I got me another set of. Here I am so far. I worked on this quite a bit more. It had some water in it, and I cranked it for a while, and I didn't have the distributor in it, so I didn't do it any good. But today I went ahead and put oil and stuff in it, and I took my old distributor there and machined the end of it off so it would go down into the oil pump, and took valve cover off and cranked it real good with a drill, and until I got it to where it was oiling everywhere, and it's turning over pretty good. How close I am to anything here. It's cranking over real good, so I don't think I hurt it. And I got it oil almost immediately. So I put in the new distributor, and I didn't think these plug wires were any good, so I just jerked them out. Turned out they were fine. I just didn't need to buy new ones. They were in good shape. So anyway, I've got the manifold on it now and torqued down, and I put the carburetor on it. I have a spacer. Now I'm not sure whether it's going to need that spacer or not. I don't remember. Looks like this one might be a hood latch or something. It might be the throttle cable. Yeah, this throttle cable here. So I'll have to figure out something for this. Well, it's I'm gonna have to either bend this around like this in a circle. Try to get it to pull on the bottom of the manifold. It's going to be pretty tight fit here. Not so good. Or I'm going to have to take it up here and I'm going to pull it, because this thing pulls towards the front. So I'm going to have to make something to hold this bracket and pull this throttle from the bottom. It looks like it's going to be the easiest way to do it. Probably that's the way I'm going to have to put it. Run it around to the front. Make me a bracket for it. I don't really have any place to mount anything on the manifold, but I can see that there's no way this is going to have to work in here like this. It's just too tight of a bend. I'd have to ruin my cable. And I could put it down here and an arm or something to figure out some way of getting this throttle cable in here. And I've got something to do with the other side on the kick down. And here's a kick down here. And don't know about this. I don't really have any way to hook it up over here. I have to make something there. But this is gonna have to be modified as well. Don't know what I'm going to do there, but I have to hook them both up. Anyway, the carburetor's where it's going to go, and I've got my lines all sorted out. I can just hook that up there to the gas. I think I'll move the whole thing a little bit forward. I can still cut these lines here, and I've got some AN to pipe fittings. So, but anyway, there's the motor in there, and distributor and plug wires. One of the plugs was rusted and I'd lost one, so I got to buy 2 plugs, and I'll have to fix that. I've got this thing, or it was, well, I'm pretty sure I got it timed right. I moved it around. So that's my next big thing. I can just put a spring on it and you know, put some gas in it. I should be able to fire it up. I don't really need a throttle and all that stuff to fire it and see if it's going to work. So I'm gonna get me a couple plugs tomorrow, and I guess I need to figure out how am I going to make this throttle bracket. I got a spacer there, and I got 1-inch studs, and they're too short, so I'll have to figure out something on that whole thing. But pressing along. I scratched my head a little bit. I've got the carburetor good. I just got a bungee cord, but I took the bracket, turned it upside down, and welded another one on it, and I got one bolt back here into the manifold. That should be enough to just the throttle. It's not real heavy, so far so good there. And the next thing I have to do is I gotta figure out some way of hooking this kick down. Well, I've kind of got it here. I don't have much room. I don't really have enough to go over to the other side. And try to get some of these wires out of my way. I really don't see how I'm going to do this. It will pull forward some if I was to manage to get it to hook up right here. I have to think about this one. This has got to pull forward when you push down on it. And the way that I can get it, getting any more room out of this. It's right up against the firewall. Let's see what I can come up with here. Well, I solved that fairly easy. I got this bracket pulled over here, and I've got it vice grips there. I can't show you right now, I'm on the wrong side of the car, but that'll work out. I can get that. I'll have my kick down working, and I was just trying to see where all the stuff was going. I found an old belt here that was messed up. I got a brand new one somewhere, but there's a little difference of mounting of that air pump there between there on the Elbrock manifold and the old TPI. I'm not sure how I'll do that. I need to put at least a big washer in here, because you can see how crooked the whole thing is. Of course, it's just sitting here. It's not, no bolts are put in it or anything. I think I can probably get it to where it'll all run pretty straight. Oh, that's my water pump and everything, so you gotta have that. And there's probably some way of loosening up this spring, but it doesn't do me any good to try to get that stuff all tied in there until I can get it mounted good. At least if I can get a good bolt here in the bottom. I don't think I can. I may be able to feed a big one in it like this to hold it. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to get that. I can't get it here on the manifold. That hole just won't line up, and I may have to grind that out a little bit to get it straight. And I don't know, I may have to put another bracket on it or something, but at least I'm on the path of that, and I can get that mounted solid, start bolting it on. This should just about do it. Of course, my goal is to start it and run it and be able to have some water in it, and idle it long enough to get the carburetor at least to work, and get the timing set and everything, and see what it sounds like. So anyway, I'll eventually find my this is a real trick to get in here. Alright, I got this stuff mounted back up on here. I haven't got it bolted down, but I got one in the bottom there, and I've got that one that goes across, and it's holding it, and it's holding the all the brackets and belt and everything straight. So this will be a good deal for that, and now I'll be able to go ahead and hook up the heater hoses and whatever stuff I need there on the manifold water hookups. I gotta have so I got one plug. Probably bring a hose from there right over to here, I guess, and then I don't know how this needs to hook up. Maybe this hose here's got to go to the, I should have an in and an out. So we got the one here. Let's see, where's my other one at? Seems to be going down there somewhere. Maybe that's don't know, but I need to have two. I need to have an in and an out. I guess I could take this one on the left over there, Put a barb fitting on it. I'll have to see what I got here in the way of hoses. Get those plugged up. And I know where my electrical stuff is going to go for the fuel pump and the coil. I'll finalize that. And then I'll cut this final cut here. Got the lines all hooked up here and cut. This gauge is sticking up too high. I'll probably have to put something on it. But I got the fuel down to about 4 pounds and it's still leaking. And it turned out that one of these floats, you can see there's gas running out of it. It's full of gas. So now I'm going to take a soldering gun, try to heat it up, find out where that float's leaking, get all the gas out of it and solder it. Well, I got all the gas out of it, and it looked like there was a little hole right there in that one corner. So I melted a little solder on it. Hopefully that'll fix that float. If it don't, I'll have to buy another one, but it's good enough to put it on there and see if that stopped my overflow. Well, I went through the valves on that again and cleaned them up, sprayed some carburetor cleaner in them. I had a few carburetor parts, and I put the best valves I had in it and reset the fuel levels and put it back together, put my fuel pump in, and it's running 3 pounds, which is kind of low, but I'd rather have it low and not leak, and I don't have any leaks up here, so that's all good. So now I just have to put my needles and all the rest of the screws in the carburetor, and should be able to start it up. Well, I let the car down and got it off the jack stands. I took a jack and straightened out the mufflers. They're pretty good. So it looks pretty good. And I got a new belt here and I put that on. It's running real good. But I've got my fuel gauge here. It's about 5-7 pounds, something like that. I tried hooking a vacuum up to this, hoping it would lower it, but it didn't do anything. But once I put the fuel pump on it, in just a few seconds it starts running over. You can hear it missing. So that float I soldered up is probably not any good. I don't know. So I ordered a kit for it. I've had some bad luck with some of these Chinese kits. They send you new floats and seats, but the seats don't want to fit in. Anyway, so I ordered a little more expensive one. Hopefully that'll work, and I'll get 2 floats for it, and that'll solve that problem, and 2 new seats. So that should hold that. I've got this light now where it actually flips up and flips down. The other one does too. I don't really have the right, I don't have it hooked up there to the headlight itself. And the other one, it's good enough. It's flipping up and turning on and turning off. This one, I've got it in good and bolted down, but I think that something's wrong there in the motor. I'm not sure what, but I'm just going to leave it flipped up like this so I can have lights. I've got a big steel plate that goes up in there. It's got a pin that goes on it and goes in here into the, there it is right there. I don't know, I just found one. Probably supposed to have two of them. I might have two, but I'll order some new cables. I'm going to put those in and try to get this latch working before I go bolting everything up. I've got some bolts there in the hood that are loose. I'll get those bolted up, and this should be pretty much good. And I'll put at least one of these plates on here, but it's firing right up. I got my wires all run up in there. You can see a red wire in the middle. That's for my starter solenoid. I basically have to put a lot of the stuff back together and dig up out all this trash and stuff out of here, try to figure out where that goes. Put in my gas filler lid. See if I can clean up this corner here and glue that rubber in. Now, this tire was low when I got it, but apparently it's holding air. I've got some stuff in here, but it looks like the water's holding good, going into the overflow. I think I'm good enough for that. I've got to get in here and cut out all this wire. I don't need that. This was all the TPI and a whole bunch of other stuff, air conditioner. So I'm gonna try to cut that, make it look pretty decent. Just basically go around this thing and bolt it up. I'm not gonna take the air conditioning out of it. I'm just gonna leave that. Everything seems to be working good. My temperature gauge is sitting right. This is a thermostat switch. I just bought a whole new unit. It'll go right here into this fan relay, and that'll work my fans. I'll try to clean the rest of this up, clean up some of these wires, bolt them in, splice those over there so I have lights, and then we'll do a little bit of bolting on stuff here. I just kind of take my tools here and clean them all up, put them in a box for now, and I'm about ready to go try to drive this thing. I did put it under its own power. It goes back and forth. But we're just pressing on this Corvette rat rod. We should get it a little better. So for now, I'll clean up my tools and see what I can clean up here. Get rid of some of this stuff. Well, fighting with a Corvette here. I got my hood cables put in, but they were too short, and this is the release thing right here, and turns out that these cables got to go in there all the way and into that slot. I've got this one in. I couldn't get it. So what I was able to do was take this pin out, and then I was able to get the whole thing out, and then I could see which way how this worked. Now I got enough room to, can't really see right there. Let's see if I got a light. This goes right up into here, into those two clips. These plastic clips hook right there. The metal thing holds them up. So now I got this out, and somehow by getting that pin out, I lost my spring. It's here somewhere, or on the ground. Here, I'll just leave it out. I don't really care because the cable clips up here got enough spring in them to close it. So anyway, I see how the cable goes now into this thing, and then I'll be able to put them both in and get them up into that little bracket. I just cut a hole out right here to get to it on this side. It was just too much work to try to figure out how to get that apart. So that was my solution. Good enough for a rat rod. Alright, you can see how I got those in there, and I've got the pull cords here. I found my little spring right there, and of course the pin. So now I'm going to try to get that pin and spring in there, and pressure will probably hold it in, but I think I'll put a little spot of JB weld or something on it, and should be good for that. Well, I just can't figure this out. This is probably 3/8 of an inch too long. If I get it in there, it holds the thing open. It's the same on both sides. I did everything I could do here. I've got this all in right. You know, the thing is full and right. This can only go in one way. I've got it in the right place. The cables are right. They're in the right clamp places. But when I pulled all this stuff out of here, turns out that fancy rubber thing there in the middle is nothing but rubber. All this is just two pieces of cable, and I've got them hooked up in there, and there's no way around it. These cables are about, if I left a little adjustment in there, half an inch too long. I mean too short. So what I'm going to do, this is the adjustment on this thing, and I'm going to take this apart. I've got a lot of adjustment there, and I'm going to take a hacksaw and I'm going to cut a half an inch out of here, and take this out. This should give me enough room to get the cable in. I'll do it on both sides. It's not I never intended for it to be a super good fix. Of course, if the cables would have been the right size, it would have worked. But they weren't the right size, so we'll just cut them off with a hacksaw, whittle this piece out of here, and maybe I'll take a piece out of each end, maybe not, but that's all I'm going to do is just cut that thing out of there. The solution, this cable here was a half inch longer, but it's not. So I'll just try to jerry rig something up there, see what happens. That took a little doing, but I just marked it with a hacksaw and then cut it with wire cutters, and you can see there it's working perfectly fine. Now I made it pretty crooked, but I can still screw that out and adjust it. So now I'll go over to the other end of it, do the same. Well, I got both sides cut and in. This one looks really good. That one there might use a little trimming, but I got the hinge in it. It locks and then pops open, so we're good there. I only got one of these latches, but I put this one in this side and it pops out too, so I have no trouble with this. Well, I got this hood mounts mounted, and they're snug. They're not perfect by any means, but it says it's supposed to drop it when it's level with the windshield. There it is, nice and tight. Now here's hoping that this works. Didn't quite pop all the way out over there, but I don't have the pin in here right either, but it didn't make any difference. I think I'm gonna be good. Oh yeah, it's open. Ah. Oh yeah, my hinges are all loose up here. Need to tighten them up, but the release cable's working, so that's what I was trying to do. Well, I keep going back and forth between these projects. What I did was hook me up my fan controller here on the Corvette. The blue wire is the second fan, but it's only got one. And this is my little temperature sender that goes into the radiator. I've got them hooked into the main wire here. This is the air conditioning control, so I should turn it on when it gets power. I've got it hooked up into the key part here. Yeah. Turn the key on, and it's showing you it's a Fahrenheit 53 is what it is, and I've got it set at 199, but once the thermostat kicks on, immediately turns on fan 1. So there's the thermostat all set up, hooked up, and showing it's 53 degrees out here. So I found another piece here. Is this part that goes on the fender, I guess, and I can put the rubber on. So the Corvette's coming along, and I'll go back here and finish up a little bit of sanding on the Chrysler.